Hey girl gang, welcome back to another episode of the HCFSU Edit, the ultimate girl's guide to all things garnet and gold. I'm your host, Kaley Hoppenworth, and for this week's episode, I have two very special guests, our very own President Sophia Montoya and Editor-in-Chief Isabelle Krukoski. These two leading ladies have been the visionaries of HCFSU for this academic year. How they have shaped our chapter into what it is today is truly inspiring. So without further ado, let's meet the brains behind the bylines of the elite Her Campus at FSU chapter. Hello, Ms. President. Hello, Ms. Editor-in-Chief. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so excited. I feel like it's been a minute. We needed to get together, get the leading ladies of Her Campus at FSU. And so I'm so excited to talk to you guys just about everything that's going on this semester, what your plans are for next semester. Just like dive right into it.
Well, that was so sweet. I'm so glad you feel that way because, of course, as a number one fan of the podcast, like when you asked me and Sophia to be on, I was like, oh my God, like it's our time. It's our time.
Well,
It's our time to shine.
of course, like how could we have a Her Campus at FSU podcast and not talk to the editor-in-chief and president? Like, I don't know how that's possible. But I want to go back to the beginning for you guys. Tell me how you heard about Her Campus and when you joined, what that looked like. We can start with Sophia.
Okay, perfect. So I learned about Her Campus through the UCF chapter while I was in high school, and I followed them and just followed along their content. And at the time, I thought I wanted to be a journalist. So I was like, oh, perfect. Let me see if FSU has a chapter. And they did. We have one of the biggest chapters. So I was like, okay,
yeah,
perfect.
It's like we are the chapter, actually.
So then I started off as a staff writer my fall freshman year.
Okay.
And then I started doing socials my spring of freshman year. And that's when I started to get a little bit more involved and weekly segments on our stories. And then I was just I'll be full-time media staff the next year. But the social media director at the time, she's like, you should really apply for Instagram chair position. I feel like you'd be good. So I was like, okay, I guess. And I didn't really like the writing. That's the tea. You don't need to write to be in Her Campus. Join the socials, join the events.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was the Instagram chair my sophomore year. And I feel like that's where I truly grew the most and took off from there because I completely shifted the vision of our Instagram than what we previously did. Before it was giving very much sorority, very much it's just girls. But I started kind of including more pop culture content, started including our articles more into our actual feed posts and kind of bringing our past president and EIC's vision to life on the Instagram, which I think did shift a lot for us on socials. And then once I did that my sophomore year, last year I was our social media director. So I handled all sorts of campaign work. And oversaw every single platform. And then now I'm president. So I kind of did a little slight climb up, following after Kate's footsteps.
Climbed
truly.
the Her Campus ladder,
Yes,
basically.
Yes. It was my goal since freshman year. I was like, I'm going to be president.
She knew who she was from a young age. She was like, I'm going to be president one day. I'm going to run this thing. I love that. And I was going to ask, when you were on just the social media team your freshman year, were you also on Instagram then? Or were we on a different platform?
Yeah, I was on Instagram then too. So I just did takeovers on the stories. It was about my For You page. So I just did a ton of random stuff about TikTok. And it was honestly actually kind of cool because I remember at the time Brittany Broski watched one of the stories I tagged her in, or a ton of micro influencers that I would tag that I loved in fashion or whatever. They would like or interact with the stories because one of them was I think in a previous HC chapter whenever she was in college. So she thought it was cool that I mentioned her in our story.
The alumni network for Her Campus is tight. You would be surprised about how many people have been in Her Campus and then have gone on to do really amazing things. So it's so fun when they interact with us and I'm like, little
Agreed.
us. You guys see us. So I love that. Do you remember at the time where our Instagram was following wise when you were just on the social media team / starting out as the chair?
I wish I had an exact number. I feel like we were still really high. I would say around maybe 9,000,
yeah.
K. So it was still a pretty big platform. Obviously not as big as it is now, but yeah. It was,
okay, and where are we now?
Now we're at 15.5K.
I love that.
We ate. Yeah. Like, is it?
Kind of like if it was like 8K.
It's like double if it
It's
was
like-
like
it's like
half.
nearly
No.
double.
Okay. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
that's true. That's true.
By the end of the spring, we will be at 16K.
Hey, I love
I
that.
don't know, but we should be.
Yeah, no, you're speaking into existence. I believe it's gonna happen.
Exactly.
We're getting like new followers every day, so
We are.
Yeah.
It's from those reels.
it's the reels. We have the funniest reels team, like actually.
Yes.
Okay, and then Isabelle, tell us about you.
Yeah, so her campus came to me when I really needed her.
Mm.
I found out about her campus. It was fall of my sophomore year, and I had like a really gnarly career crisis over the summer because originally I was a psych major.
Naturally.
And then,
Mhm.
over the summer I was like, what am I doing? Like, is this what I want to do with my life? Like, it just, I don't know. I was panicking. So then, talked to a career counselor. That's like a bit of a side quest. But I eventually ended up in a WEPO class, writing and editing and print online for my EWM girls.
Shout out Weepo.
Shout out WEPO.
We love her.
And that's where I met my good friend Sophia Dalton, who was in her
Really?
campus at the time. And she was just in class talking about one of her articles. And then I like pulled her after class. I was like, wait, what is that? Like, how do I get involved? And she's like, oh my God, it's her campus at FSU. So then that's when I started doing my research, looking at some of the other articles. And I was like, that's where I need to be. Sent my application in, and then I joined spring of my sophomore year. And I was super lucky, and I'm so grateful to this day that my writers group that I was in and my editor were so friendly and welcoming and receptive to my presence there and my ideas and the things that I had to talk about. I'm still friends with all of them to this day. I'm like super, super grateful for them. They made my first semester what it was, and it was amazing. And that really just inspired me to stay with the organization, keep putting myself out there, apply for editor. And then I was editor for a year, which I learned so much, and from you especially.
Stop, what?
But her campus, quickly I realized that was my community. I later got involved with a few different other organizations, but her campus was like my place. And I still feel that way to this day, and I'm really excited now as editor-in-chief that I'm on the other side of it, where I get to help other girls find their friends in the chapter, and getting to like it fills me with so much joy when I see girls leaving the GBM and they're just like chatting with each other, like walking with each other, like, yes, girl. And then I go to Sophia. I'm like, oh my God, like they're friends. Look at them. Like our babies are flying. They're flying. They're leaving the nest. But yeah, that was my journey, I would say.
So let's set the record straight here. You went from writer to editor for a year to then editor-in-chief right after that.
Yes, ma'am.
Which, if we know anything about the Her Campus at FSU structure, you kind of skipped a step there. So do you want to tell us about that experience for just a second? So basically what I'm mentioning is typically before you get to editor-in-chief, there are head editor positions. And so tell us about that.
Yeah, so, and I'm glad that you brought this up because I joined spring of my sophomore year.
So spring semester even.
Yes.
Okay, wow.
Spring. So this
She
is
said
my,
fast track.
Right. I was on the fast track.
Mhm.
And because I was only a writer for one semester, and then I immediately went to editor for 2 semesters, and then I ended up applying for editor-in-chief, which wasn't initially my plan, but the more I was talking to, my friends and people around me about it, I was like, wait, like, why shouldn't I apply? And then I started thinking about it, and then when I, submitted my application and everything, I was like, wait, I actually really want this, and I think I could do some really good work for the chapter. But in terms of like getting to that point, once I got editor-in-chief, I remember I struggled a little bit with imposter syndrome, especially because I wasn't on exec, and but we have a few girls who are already on exec and we're returning for exec the next year. And so I was struggling a little bit with how do I lead an e-board in a chapter when I've never done it before. I've never like been in such a leadership position. I went from leading 6 writers to, nearly 100 writers. That's like such a big jump. But I'm super, super grateful to Sophia, my team. She's my rock, my world, my soulmate, my bestie. But I couldn't have asked for like a better partner. I think that's like what makes my job run the way that it does. like there's so many times where I'm feeling insecurity about my position, and then I'm like, Sophia, and she's like, no girl, like it's okay, and I'm like, wait, it is okay. So I think that made my transition a lot easier, was just having people that I could rely on and talk to about it. And then also just faking it till you make it, you know? I had to remind myself, like, wait, I became editor-in-chief for a reason, like trusting in my knowledge and my skills to fulfill the role. But then, as I was doing it, I was like, wait, like this eats. Like I love doing this. So, and I still feel that way to this day. And we're not even through the semester. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And she's doing
And
it.
I'm doing it.
Yes. Well, yes. And I want to say, I feel like you guys are both pointing out some really key characteristics of what it means to be in her campus at FSU. For one, it's a community. It's a community of women. And you guys both talk about that, like starting out, like it was this safe space for you. And like if it weren't for those writers and editors you met early on, like who knows where we would be at this point. And so the community aspect's so big, but also this idea that you don't have to come in as like an expert. You don't have to come in as this expert writer, this
We're a learning publication.
social media chair. We're here to learn. We're all just students at the end of the day. Like, yes, you guys are the leaders of her campus, but you're also you're still in your undergrad. Like, it's not like you have this extensive journalism experience that brought you here. It was just this matter of hard work and passion and belief in what the chapter stands for. And so I think you guys are kind of the epitome of like what happens when you truly invest in her campus. And so I love that. And I love that like you joined your freshman year, because a lot of people have that experience. They start out like very beginning, day one, they're there at her campus GBMs. And then there's other people that kind of come along a little bit later in their journeys. I was similar. I think I came in like my spring semester of actually my freshman year, so I guess I was still early, but you know. But I've had people say like, can I even join it? Like I'm already like a sophomore or junior, even a senior actually. One of my writers was a senior. And I was like, of course. Like it's not about how long you've been in the chapter, how much experience you have. It's really just like love of the game, like do we want to do this?
I always emphasize, especially, I imagine this applies to any organization, but especially with her campus, what you put in is what you get out. So
Mhm.
yes, I joined, later in my collegiate career, but I was always in our Flare group chat. I was always showing up to
100%.
events. I tried my hardest to just continuously be involved with the organization, and I think that's why it resonated so deeply with me. Not to mention that the e-board during my sophomore year, they provided all these opportunities for me to get connected with the chapter. But by making the time for the organization on like a personal level, that's where I was able to develop these relationships, develop these skills, learn so much, and just like grow so much love for her campus. Like I could go on and on about how much I love her campus. Gripping my mic.
Yes, and we can see that. And I can see that in both of you. I fully remember, like, from my perspective, sitting down and interviewing you both separately for the positions. Like, you guys were obviously both totally qualified just from like a skills standpoint and knowledge base. But on top of that, you guys both stood out because your passion was just so clear, like in everything you did. Like with Sophia, like you always had new ideas for our socials and like how you wanted us to level up and how you wanted things to feel more like we were in this like media space. And then for Isabelle, I mean, you're just so facey. Like everyone in the chapter knew who Isabelle was. Like she was an editor, and there's many editors, but Isabelle was at every event. She was in those Flare chats. She knew what the people wanted. She was one of the people. And I think that's exactly why you guys are both so successful in your roles currently. It's just like how in touch you are with like the heartbeat of her campus, you know?
I feel like you just have to be a girl with a vision, because like I was one of those writers where I sat in the back of the meetings. I never talked to anybody. Like I feel like Isabel had more of the experience where she was like making friends and like really putting herself out there. Or I was like kept myself like more like shelled, and I was just like going in meetings, going home. But like I still got here. I think you just have to be really, really passionate about the work and like kind of like making it your own as well. I feel like that's what really kept me like pushing through this.
100%. And that's so true because we do have some girls, and like I was one of them too, where I would just come to the meetings and leave because it was like I was tired. It was a Monday evening. But you're right. It's a girl with a vision. It's a girl like believing in the mission of the chapter. And so you're right. You have both sides of it. And I think you guys are like two little peas in a pod, and you guys just complement each other so well.
No, something that I think about often is, I think Sophia is incredibly good at her job and good at getting the work that needs to be done completed, and just like I want to say like carrying yourself in such a way where like it leaves room for me to be goofy. You know what I mean? Like during our
Mm.
GBMs, I like to have our little temperature checks. How are we doing? And just, I just get to be a silly little gal. But then, Sophia, like, she's like, okay, like we're locking in. Not to say that I don't do work, but I do think that we complement each other really well in that way. And it's part of the reason why I think, we do so well. And honestly, I think a lot about, our CCs before us, especially with Fabiana and Bella, shout out. I remember during their senior send off, it was my first semester as a writer, and they, were graduating. And I remember talking to both of them about how inspired I felt by them and how I wish, I could be like them one day, because they were just so hardworking and talented and so well put together. And never did I think about me being EIC. It was my first semester as a staff writer. I wasn't thinking about that. But thinking about that moment and those conversations I had with them and where I am now, ugh, like it's sad girl hour. Like I'm sobbing. I'm
Yes.
sobbing.
No, it honestly makes me emotional to think about too, for sure. We asked Isabelle and Sophia what their favorite articles from this semester so far are. Here's what they picked. Did you miss the VMAs? No need to worry, we've got you covered. Check out our article, What the 2025 VMAs Say About the Future of Music. Tap the link down below to read more. Going into you guys' roles specifically, so obviously president, editor-in-chief, can you just break that down for some of us who might not understand what the structure of Her Campus looks like and what exactly you guys do on, let's say, a day-to-day or like week-to-week basis?
Okay. So I feel like I do more administrative stuff on like a day-to-day basis, but also like keeping everyone in check kind of vibe, like making sure it's like,
Mm.
okay, like the events are eventing, like socials is happening and everything's like good and running. Same thing with like networking chair with outreach, that everything is like still happening. I feel like that would be like my more day-to-day task, as well as like managing our budget, which is like the kind of craziest part. Like didn't know like I had to open up Excel, like, like trying to organize myself, making sure like, we're not overspending. Like we're girls that love to spend. Like we love a treat at our
Mhm.
events. Like we love some cute merch.
Yes, always.
So yeah, just making sure all of that is like running and then I'm like communicating that correctly to everyone in the chapter. So there's not, or like on our exec board. So there's no like confusion on like our spending amount or anything like that. And I think also like people constantly reaching out about like random questions, I feel like is also a thing that happens like on a daily basis. So kind
Mhm.
of like quick problem solving, or like suddenly I know everything about her campus. I'm like, yes, like of course I can help you. Like, let me ask Isabel before I reply. Kind of vibe. I feel like yeah, that's like mainly what I do. And then I think also like I'm constantly like as I'm just like scrolling on socials, just like seeing what ideas I could bring to Erin, our current social media director, and
Mhm.
Sasha, our Instagram chair. Because I feel like I still have like that little bug in me that like I can't stop looking to see like what else we can do, even though like I'm not like on Canva anymore for her campus, but I'm like always looking out to see like, okay, we
Mhm.
should do this, or like our next campaign inspo should be this.
Right. And that's
Um,
what I wanted to ask you too was
yes.
where social media kind of came in your role, because yes, you do have the responsibility of handling a lot of the administrative tasks, but you have such a big background in social media and like those creative things. So how do you bring that into your
Yes.
position?
So for my position, I'm the one who applies at all the campaigns that we bring. So through her campus, they have something called a sampling squad, which like any org or RSO can apply to. It doesn't just have to be a her campus chapter. So through there, I'll apply to like any opportunities they bring. We usually do about like 4 to 5 campaigns a semester. This semester they were like all more early on to the semester. We had like about 4, I'm pretty sure.
Mhm.
So I'm always submitting the applications for those. It's just basically like pitching our engagement, or like why they should like bring these products to our chapter. But I feel like maybe it's like randomly selected.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know their secrets.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I'm consistently looking at their newsletter like weekly, honestly, too, to see like what other opportunities they're bringing to us, like what we can apply for. Because sometimes there is like some little random ones that I'm like, maybe it's not like the best fit. So also like having that mind where I'm like, okay, I know like for example our Knicks campaign, like our chapter members will love that, but also like that's perfect for like our social media brand. Like
Mhm.
these like blushes are super relevant. So it's like thinking that like if this is on Explore page, it'll reach so much more people than like just her campus members, but like anybody interested in beauty or like
Right.
just
Like you're
like
thinking
trendy
about like the
stuff.
broader context as well
Yes.
and like how to bring in more people,
Yes.
reach other people. I was going to ask, I don't know, like not to put you on the spot, but do you have like, what are your top 3 campaigns that you've done during your entire time
Oh.
at her campus?
Okay, I feel like that's hard. Immediately, the Victor and Rolf one that we did last semester
The perfume,
is,
right?
yes, my
Okay.
favorite one.
Yes.
Because I feel like at the time, or like it's still pretty, like it's pretty big, but like food marketing was like really taking off. So I was like, oh, like I really like want to venture into this. And I knew, so I was like looking into like the notes of the perfume to see like what kind of food items I could bring. So it's like spring picnic vibes. Like I feel like that's like very trendy and like always relevant at that
Mhm.
time. So then that's why I did like a little pie because it had like notes of vanilla, the raspberries for the raspberry and the perfume. That one was my favorite, and I feel like the media staff were also like really excited to like execute my vision for that. So that was exciting because like usually as social media director, like you're not really like always leading the campaign visions. It's mainly like the Instagram chart. At least like that's how it was like during my time. But for this one, like I really had this like idea I was super passionate about.
You really had to like get to do that like
Yes.
creative direction,
Yes,
which
yes,
I think is like
yes.
any creative's like dream, right?
Yeah.
Like have a vision, execute it.
Yes. And because I feel like my thing is like being behind the camera. Like I don't really want to be in like the campaign photos really. I just
Mhm.
like being like, okay guys, like post like this, or like this is cute, or like we should have these props, like this should be like our background or like location, whatever. So I feel like that was like my little baby. Like I love that one. And that one actually performed pretty well for a campaign. Because usually they get like not like shadow banned, or like I don't know what the actual term is, but like Instagram like does not put it on like people's feed because it's like a more like not sponsored, but it's like you're promoting something. And then my next favorite, I think what comes to mind, the Sol de Janeiro one. That one I think I'm like, was I? Yeah, I was the Instagram chair, so that was my sophomore year, and
Mhm.
that one was really cute. And I remember I was so excited because it got reposted onto I think like the main Her Campus Nationals page. So that was like
Mm.
super exciting at the
I
time because I was like,
love when
oh,
nationals recognizes
yes,
us. I'm like, oh,
yes.
we're famous.
So I love that one, and I think like Sol de Janeiro like commented on it, or like they had like DM'd us like a little heart, but I was like, I know that's like probably like maybe some intern or something, but I was like, oh, period. Like I was so excited about it, and I feel like it was like the very beginning of like
Mhm.
me working like with Kate really closely on like how are we gonna
Yes.
promote this, things like that, and I'm really proud of that. Like it was like a little carousel that has like the combining photos. I don't know, maybe now it's like looks boof because it's like maybe 2 years ago that was cute, but
No, not too
like
much, mama.
but
Like,
you know what? It
Yeah,
was
no,
cute at the
no, definitely
time.
not. I
Yeah.
mean, I think it was cute. And also just Sol de Janeiro, hello.
Oh
Like
my god, yes, the mini
at the
lotions. I'll never
time it was
forget.
like really popular too. Like people were getting those perfumes all the time. And so I remember being like probably like a staff writer or editor at the time and I was like, "Wait, are we for real? Like Sol de Janeiro?" I was shocked.
Yeah, I remember everyone. It was like these like mini. I don't know what they're called, like
I
the bum
still
bum
have mine, I'm not gonna
creams.
lie. Like
It's like rotting on your counter still.
no,
no, the
I
amount of
honestly like I just
samples
have a
that
lot of
I
samples.
have, like I
Yeah.
have a massive bag. Like
Same.
even from when I was a writer and editor, not 'cause, I mean, yeah, we get a lot now. I mean,
Yeah, it's
just
hard to
leftovers, but
just yeah, use all of them.
right. But then I'm like, oh my god, like I need a makeup remover, and I'm like, oh my god, I have my Garnier
Right, my
micellar
garden. No, I literally
water.
still use the micellar water. Like to
Yes,
this day, I'll be like,
yes.
wait, let
I'm
me
like,
get her
I have
out.
my 5 million bottles. Yes,
Yes.
right.
Well, yes.
So yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
very
love that.
real.
Nice. Okay. And then Isabel, let's talk about editor in chief a little bit. Break that down for us.
Yeah, I mean, so the main thing that I do is I edit all of our articles that go up on the site. I want to say I edit anywhere between 40 to 50 articles every week, which sounds like a lot, but by
Let's
the
pause. Every week.
every
40 to
week,
50 every week,
40 to
y'all.
50 every week, you
Mm-mm.
know, mama. But by the time they get to me, they're in really good shape. Shout out to my team. I have a really strong team of editors and head editors this semester.
Yes.
But I edit articles. That's like the main part of my job. But then I also oversee our 3 head editors, our 16 content editors, and then all of our writers. You know, there's actually a few writers who, you know, I have good relationships with them because they gravitated to me and I gravitated to them. I don't know, like
Wow. They
we're
knew where
just
home was.
no, come home, mama. Like, come home. Like,
Ah!
mama's here.
Yeah.
But I oversee everything writing related in our chapter. So I also do a lot of our SEO work. So I, make sure that people can find our articles when they go searching for, the things that we write about. I also, we both lead GBMs, looking at our reads, our chapter analytics, how well we're doing, thinking about our publishing direction,
Mhm.
and where that's going to be taken. How I'm always thinking about how can we get more reads, how can I push my writers and editors to become better, because we are learning publication. Um, and and I would also say, giving feedback. Like I said, I want my girls to learn. I want them to, become the writers and editors that they strive to be. I want to give them those resources. So I would say
Mhm.
that's also a large part of our job. And then also managing our e-board. That's something, again, that we do collectively. But yeah, I would say that's like the main gist of my job.
Yes, you definitely control like the editorial vision of the chapter. You kind of know what you want to go into. Did you have any ideas before this year started about where you wanted that editorial direction to go into? Like what types of articles were you really wanting to see this year?
Yes. So the main thing that I wanted to see from our articles was variety. I didn't want any of our girls to feel like within each of our rotations they were kind of getting stuck in like the same areas.
Mhm.
The term that I continuously use is, especially to my head editors, I want us to be scraping the edges of our bowl of each rotation. Like
Wow, that is so visual. I love
I want
that.
us to get into the nitty gritty of what each rotation can provide. Because at the end of the day, we have so many different girls in our
Yes.
chapter with so many different interests and hobbies and, aspects of their life. I want them to talk about all of those different things, like their most niche passions. Because there's a girl out there that's scrolling the site who's going to be looking for something like that. And she's going to find that piece of community on our page. And that's something that I really wanted to strive for was, internal and external community, not just on our site, but within the chapter. So that's definitely something that I push our writers to do, is think about what you want to write about, because not only will that, offer community for our readers, but you're most passionate about the things that you like. And that not only establishes your credibility as an author, but we can see it in the writing how excited you are, and that just makes for a better article. Like, for
Mhm.
example, a couple weeks back we had an article about lesbian vampires, and it did incredibly well. And then we had a publisher for VE Schwab and Lucy Score reach out and
No
thank
way.
our writer personally. So it shows that when, who would have thought that an article about lesbian vampires would have done that, but it did, because the writer was so passionate about the topic and the article was really good and it made its way out there. So that's definitely something that I wanted to focus on with the editorial vision, is just write what you want to write about, but make sure that you're connected to it.
Yeah, scraping that bowl clean.
Scraping that bowl,
I'm really
licking
gonna
the
be, I'm really
spatula.
thinking about that. Like, that was a crazy metaphor, but I love it. Like, that's so true. And I
Yeah.
feel like I can see that in all the articles that we post, because I'm always like tapping through our Instagram and checking it out, looking on our website. And we genuinely have so much variety. Like, and I think that's what makes our chapter so incredible is we really get to write about anything and everything. I remember that a lot. And so it's important to stay informed about current events. If you want to know how the government shutdown has affected our communities, read our article, Government Shutdown Put Snap on Pause. Tap the link down below to read more. Going into that specifically, I wanted to kind of get both of you guys' perspective on this editorially and also through like our social media and other things. But what do you feel like sets her campus apart from the other writing organizations on campus? Because we do have so many. So what makes us special?
I mean, to my knowledge, we're the only women's only publication on campus. And I think that we're
Right.
also one of the organizations that is publishing as much as we do. There's a lot of publications on campus who may have equivalent or more members as us, but nobody has the same amount of writers that we do, the same amount of articles going out each week that we do. And we talk a lot about what it's like to be a woman in college, or what it's like to be a person in college right now, like in our generation. I think that's something we do a really good job of doing, but also just talking about it in a really approachable and accessible way. I like that our articles are super fun to read, but they still establish that authority where, we're not just a blog, but we are an official publication, and our writers are doing research and they're incorporating our hyperlinks and our sources. We're supporting our information. But that information is still super welcoming and easy to read. And I think that's something that her campus at large, but also our chapter, does well and does differently.
And I feel like also we're reaching like not only just FSU students, but like people follow our content that just like consuming it, which is like I think the thing that excites me most. And like also with socials, that it's like people just like think it's cute or just like enjoy where we write, like as if we're like, like not cosmopolitan, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just like normal people consuming our content, which is my favorite part. Like if anything, we're trying to work on like kind of expanding more on campus, because maybe people on campus like don't really know us as much, but I know that we have like a consistent audience that's like not even a part of FSU that follows us. Like I think a writer told me that one of their like friends from New York or something like follows our page, so people just like what we post. It's like we're like not influencers, but like
we kind of are, though. We kind of are, to be fair. Yeah.
It's like we're just like,
I would say we're influencing.
Yeah. Like I feel like we're really relevant in other spaces that are not just our campus. And not saying that like other publications on campus are not, but I think we do really take that to the next level, in my opinion.
And something else that I want to add is, especially when it comes to more news style articles, or articles that are talking about relevant things going on that affect our generation, affect women on campus, I think that our articles are really good at communicating this really important information in a very comprehensive way. A lot of the times, you're reading these articles about hurricanes in Jamaica, or, what's happening with SNAP benefits, and the general articles that are coming out about those things have, sometimes a lot of jargon, or a lot of things that, we may not understand. And I think that our girls are really, really good at breaking down these super critical events or topics that are important to us, and writing about them in a way that's really easy for us to understand. Like we're hearing about it for the first time, and it's still, it's still fun, but I think that, yes, we do write about lifestyle and, culture, pop culture, but we are also writing about the like hard-hitting topics that people need to be hearing about, but we're writing about it in the Her Campus way.
Fully. Like we are truly hitting like the depth and breadth of, I think, just journalism in general. And so I want to get into that as well, because harkening back to why Her Campus was just started in general by the three women that started it all for us, it was to create a space for women in journalism. It was such a male dominated field at the time, and I think that's why Her Campus is Her Campus. And I know we kind of have this running joke, because anytime there's like a man that wants to like get into our space, he's like, why can't men join? Like, have people asked you that yet? Like, have people been like, why can't we have a his campus?
I think like in a joking way, but never in like a I'm feeling excluded by your organization.
True.
Which, if that does happen, I'll text Sophia and we'll figure it out. But, I think that our organization, it's not Her Campus because we're trying to exclude people. It's Her Campus because we're trying to be inclusive. We're trying to spotlight and highlight the voices of women, because, when women have not always had a place in journalism, it's important that there's at least a little corner that spotlights and emphasizes the experiences that only women are having, or only feminine people are having. So I think, it's incredibly important that we maintain that space. I mean, why does any marginalized community have a space where they can talk about their experiences? It's because it's important, and it's important to their identity, but also just, living in a world where there's so many different people with different experiences.
Yeah, and I feel like I love knowing that members can come to our meetings and like know they genuinely feel safe, and that there's like no one that's gonna like target them, or like like have it out for them. Like I feel like it's genuinely like a comfortable space. They could come in and like it's like I'm here and I belong here. Like, I don't feel like an outsider, especially like on such a big campus. I feel like it's so important for people to have like that space, especially if they're like more shelled or like don't have a ton of friends. They know they could come to our meetings or just like come to our hangouts or talk to us and know it's like we're going to reciprocate your energy. Like, we're going to have your back, even if like I met you last week. And I love
Mhm.
bringing that to our campus. And
I
only women
agree.
could do that. Just kidding. But like, you know,
Women just do it really well, I'm not gonna lie. I
exactly,
mean,
exactly.
women, like, we flock in communities, and so I feel like something like this is just really great for college-aged women to come together, and you're right, like, it's so important to be able to give a platform to people with those perspectives and those experiences just because, like, historically, that's not always been the case, and I think because her campus is positioned as a place for people who identify as women, and we talk about a lot of like lifestyle topics in pop culture. Like, do you guys see any resistance to that in the journalism space? Like, where people maybe want to discredit us or not give us, like, the credit we deserve? Yeah,
For some
basically.
reason, like you said, there's this sort of stigma surrounding lifestyle or pop culture related journalism because it's not about a super critical topic or because it's not, loaded with statistics and facts or backed by research. The lived experiences of people are just as important about these this research or statistics that we're hearing about, especially when like some of the articles that I really push for are articles that highlight intersectionality. So not only about women, but about POC women, about LGBTQ plus women. These articles are just as important as, what people consider to be hard hitting journalism. And I think that, just because it's associated with women, that doesn't mean that it's not real journalism. Like
Hmm.
it's just as good, and if not better. Who's doing it like her campus? I would like to know. But I think, that's like a deeper rooted anti-feminist perspective that we're
I
we're still working
agree.
through. We're
I
still working through.
agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like they love to hate a fangirl. Like, and I feel like we're truly the safe space for people to be fangirls about like whatever they're a fangirl about. And they hate to see it. They hate to see it. It's like, I'm like, okay, like you fan over sports and like whatever, like why can't I like love Harry Styles? Like, why can't I like love lesbian vampires like Addison? Like, hello? Like, give me the
Exactly.
space to talk about it, to write
And
about
we
it.
also fan over like sports and politics and other topics that people are also writing about it. But we come from such a unique angle and perspective because we prioritize the voices of women. Like, hello. Of course, that's going to come with some nuance and complexity. And I think that's what makes us so special. And I know for me, it like grinds my gears. Like, I will talk to my family about her campus and I describe it to them, and they'll kind of say, like, oh, so it's like a little blog. Baby, there's nothing little about us.
There's nothing
Like,
little or bloggy about
no,
us.
fully like set the record straight here. Keeping up with all activities and festivities on campus can be hard, but not to fear, your ultimate girl's guide to all things garden and gold is here. Check out this article from our campus rotation, The Four Most Insane Things I've Seen on Landis Green. Tap the link down below to read more. Her campus at FSU is not just a blog. It's not just like a space where people hop on and just shout their opinions into the void. We are intentional, we have purpose, we have guidelines that we live by. And so I don't know, do you guys have anything on that?
But we are a learning publication. We do have guidelines that we follow. We do focus on improving the skills of our writers and editors. And like you said, we're not just shouting into the void. Our girls are credible. They're doing their research, they're finding their sources, they're speaking from their own lived experiences. And we have our team of editors, head editors, and myself who are, editing these articles in a way that, highlights that credibility and curates them to become the best articles that they can be. It's not a one woman show by any means. We have
Mm-mm.
a team that is putting these articles together and
Right.
highlighting the voices of these writers. And I think, there's nothing blog bloggy about that. Shout out to
No.
blogs, but her campus is not a blog.
Her campus is not a blog. You heard it here first. And
Yeah, I
yeah.
was like, I feel like we run like a pretty strict boot camp in a way. Like, you guys have your guidelines down and like you better respect them and they better be happening. And I feel like same with socials, like it's very important for us to like abide by our branding and abide by like all our rules and like FSU marketing rules and copyright stuff. And I feel like that also it's like we're getting real world experience from this is really not like and yeah, like you said, there's nothing little about this. Like this is like one of the strongest things on my resume, and I'm not getting paid to do this. Like this is not like an internship, but it's like a
Exactly.
job, like low
No,
key.
get
Like we're
into
full time
that.
workers.
It's a full-time job. It's a
Mhm.
full-time job. I mean, we're low-key on call 24/7. There's a
Yes.
lot of crisis communication that we manage, and not because,
They're dispatched, you know?
we're dispatched. And
Yeah.
it's not because there's a lot of crises in her campus per se, but there's just so many moving parts that, we
Yes.
oversee and we manage. I've gotten phone calls from writers and editors at midnight saying, "Hey, I'm having a problem with this." And
Mhm.
I, of course, try my best to address those issues because the quicker we get these things done, the better that we can run. And yes, we are kind of like a boot camp, but don't get it twisted. Our girls, they work so hard. They
And
work
they're
so
right
hard.
where they want to be.
They're right where they wanna be.
They want to be in this boot camp,
Like,
first of
yes,
all.
we hit them with all of these
Yeah.
guidelines and all of these branding rules, but they eat it up and they do even more. They push
Mhm.
themselves. And I think that's like a large part of the reason that we do so well is because we push ourselves, we push each other.
Exactly.
And that's like a big part of our identity.
And that's what I wanted to say too is like, what do you guys think? Like, how does her campus prepare women for journalism and to be in these spaces? I mean, you guys said the guidelines and certain things like that, but was there anything else that you wanted to mention?
I mean, I always emphasize to our girls that it is an incredibly safe space to ask questions.
Mm.
There's no question too silly, too stupid. I've been hit so many times with the I'm sorry if this has been said or I'm sorry if this is a stupid question. No, girl, hit me with your
No.
question.
You're like,
I wanna be
curiosity did
helpful.
not kill this cat.
Absolutely. And oftentimes writers ask questions where I don't even know the answer. So then
Mhm.
I go and I'm looking for that information and then I learn something too. And I think that kind of contributes into this, positive feedback loop of I'm helping them and they're helping me. And, just purely also just by exposure therapy. The more you write, the more you edit, the more you're talking to your peers about the way that you do these things, the more that you're going to learn and grow just by practice. And
Fully.
absolutely. And I think, that's a large part of how our girls are, getting involved and, preparing themselves for this kind of work after college. Not
Mhm.
to mention a lot of the profiles that we write, our girls are getting connected. The network is networking.
Networking.
The network is networking. They're practicing their interview skills, they're writing, they're editing, their communication with their editors. Our editors are practicing how to manage a team. Our head editors, myself, like we're all constantly learning every single day.
Mhm.
There's a lot from this job that I didn't anticipate, but I'm grateful for nonetheless. So,
Mhm.
and like I said, that we're not even through with our first semester.
Right. You
We're
guys still have another whole half of the semester or whole half of the year to wrap up. And so, actually, going into that, this is my last and final question for you both. But what kind of legacy do you want to leave on her campus at FSU and also just FSU in general after you're finishing this role?
Wow.
Oh my god, wait, that's really hard. I don't know what legacy I want to leave. I'm scared.
That's
Mama,
okay. It's okay.
Mama, a legacy behind you.
Mama,
like
a
look
legacy
out.
behind you regardless. Yeah.
I would say the kind of legacy that I want to leave for her campus at FSU is just showing girls that it's possible, that you can do whatever you can set your mind to.
I love that. Clip that. She said, it's possible.
It's possible. It's attainable. It's reachable. Like I said, never in a million years during my semester as a staff writer did I imagine I was going to be editor in chief. But here I am. I'm on this couch. I'm talking to you. I'm with Sophia. Like this is something that I made happen. Yes, there were countless people who helped me along the way and who supported me, despite my doubts, but if you come ready to learn and ready to put yourself out there, we will give you the resources to find that success, whatever it looks like for you. We have
Mhm.
so many different girls from so many different backgrounds, but whatever you need, we want to give it to you so you can succeed and you can share your voice in a way that's true to you and to our campus guidelines, of course. But that's what I would say is I want girls to know that you can do whatever you set your mind, your heart, and your soul to.
Ah, I love that.
Yeah, I feel like very similarly, like I want people to know it's like if you like grew up on YouTube or you just like love pop culture, like yeah, you can make this like your real life and like your real job. Like not that I have yet, but like I plan on it.
Okay,
I need to speak.
influencer.
Right.
Well, no, I don't want to be an influencer, but like, it's like I came into this space like being like, no, like not like my mom was like doubting me, but like it's like, are you really gonna go and like do social media for a brand or whatever? And it's like after doing this, I feel very confidently that like I can be that person one day. So I hope to like teach other girls that, and also like we provide such a big network for people that I like want to keep like letting them know. It's like 2 years down the line, if like whoever's like the next president or whatever, and I'm like fully at like some other job, like yes, you can continue to reach out to me forever. And I still feel that way about like our first president. Like I always hear looking my stories, like I'll reply to her, like she'll reply to me, and like we keep that network going in that family, even though like we weren't always speaking. So I keep like I want to like I want the girls to know like we'll always be there for them. And it's like especially within careers like journalism,
Yes.
marketing, like that field is tough. So it's like you have us like I hope I have a crazy job and you're like, can I network with you to get it like get a job there too?
Yes. Not
Like I need to be
only
that
are we
girl.
connected, but we're supported. And I think that's like the best thing you can walk away from her campus with is feeling like you have that community behind you no matter where you go in life, what you want to do. It's like we've got your back.
I've never been a sorority girl, and this is as close as I will get. Sorority life was not for me, and that is okay. I have so many friends who I love in sororities, but the connections that I've made in this chapter are unlike anything else. Like I am so grateful for her campus, and I reflect on that
Oh.
often.
And
Like,
I'm grateful for you guys.
and I'm grateful for you.
And I'm grateful for you
And I'm
guys.
grateful for you and you
Yes.
and you.
And I'm so glad I was able to sit down and talk with you guys and also just give like our girl gang a chance to get to know you guys a little bit more personally, hear about your journeys because I know that from their perspective, like there's people that have come on this year, maybe who have already been in her campus for a couple years and they really look up to you. Like you guys are the example and they're probably sitting there thinking the same things you thought about Lane and Aaron, Fabiana, Bella, whoever, and are like,
You and Kate. Don't
right?
forget.
Right. And like they're looking at you guys and they're like, I want to be those girls. Like, I don't know if that's possible, but you heard it here first. Isabelle says it's possible. So it is. And so I just want to thank you so much for sharing that side of your story and being vulnerable and saying all the things because it really does make a difference to me, to all the girls that watch this, and to our community. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you,
Of
Kaylee. Thank you for
course.
making this happen.
Ah.
Always. You're the best.
No, literally, you're the best.
No, thank you. Stop. Anyways, okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. But go ahead and like and subscribe. You know the drill. And we'll see you guys at our next episode. Bye.